sponsors Indica Cream, Ramraj, Mritu Towels, presents Galatta Thug Life Celebrations. Powered by Prithvi Innovias, The Chennai Silks, Darling, Sura Books, Jai Chandran. Associate partner, Inno6.
Oh, it just happened. We were there at the lunch.
No, I mean, listen.
So the way it's like, we were there, and that lunch happened, and Shauna's film was there, and Tom Cruise appeared. You know, that's the way the story goes. You know, I think it's like.
Yeah, I could rewind it a bit. My first shot was, I think, one action sequence with Simbu. Just the technical, prowess and everything was bang on. Mani says, like, the perfect guru you can have. But they really welcomed me. I think Kamal sir saw Vishalji's film that I had done. He mentioned it that day.
Khufia.
Khufia. So one thing to another, and they must have gotten a whiff of me. Mani sir, Basu, or they're lovely directors, but actors love it when the director goes, good. So suddenly we're like, nothing. He's this cute, just all heart. He's so cute. I love him. And also Santosh Sivan shooting it, so it's a great combo.
Right.
It's a nice combo. Mirzapur was not me.
It was not you at all.
A lot of choices there happen that are every time. Like, I know this last season, it was one of the hardest, but it was very different. But sometimes it's like, hey man,
It's like having handcuffs.
do this.
Yeah.
Because this is all that imagination is left with. And it's mine. Just before the take, just right before I was, the clap is in, and he just sticks his head out and says, Ali, say it in your head. Take the same line.
Right. Ali Fazal will now tell us all the directors who asked him to reenact what they acted out in front of him. Will you?
I would love to.
Title sponsors Indica Cream, add color to your life. Ramraj Mridu Towels, super soft, super absorbent. Galatta presents Thug Life Celebrations. Powered by Prithvi Innowares, your perfect partner. The Chennai Silks, let the celebrations begin. Darling AC Tiruvizha, India Vilaye Miga Kurainda Mada Tavanayil AC. Sura School Guides for all classes. Jayachandran, Kurainda Vilai Nirainda Taram Tangal Tevegal Anithum Ore Idathil Jayachandran. Associate sponsor Inno6, Bharat Ka Next Gen Crypto Exchange. Hello everyone, we are at Gigi's, a premium dining restaurant at the heart of Bandra, and we have with us Ali Fazal, who is acting in a bunch of movies. There's Thug Life, there's Metro Indino, there's Lahore 1947.
Oh yeah, that's also coming.
Yeah, what's
yes.
it? Oh yeah, that's there.
Yes, no, because it's we still have some work left on it.
Yeah,
and
that's there.
I've been firstly, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm very happy to be here. I was in my defense 25 minutes, not defense actually. I'm apologizing. I was late because it's been bad rains that have suddenly descended upon our city. But thank you again. Thank you. We're here at Gigi, the premium.
dining restaurant, dining restaurant. Now, you know what? All those movies are there, but let's fanboy a bit about your photo with Tom Cruise.
Oh God, that's not a.
Yeah.
Just to,
What is it? It's like you just ran into him. He said, "Let's take a photo." What is that?
Yes, I think it was a very, very, very important year for India. Shaunak Sen was nominated for All That Breathes, and he was very kind enough, and the team. He said, "You know what? I was in LA at the time, and he said, we would love to have you come in for the Academy luncheon, because I'm a member and a voting member technically." So I said, okay, you know what, I would love to be there and champion, like, literally our cinema. Guneet was also nominated. She won later for her film that year, short film. And it was also a very important year because Tom Cruise brought cinema back in a big way with Top Gun. And then there was, Colin Farrell and all these guys with Martin McDonagh's film. So it was a lot of fanboying, but also a very important cinematic experience, like, happening in real time.
Yeah.
So we were all just huddled up and discussing, the future of cinema, what's happening, him congratulating Shaunak and, Guneet and everybody for their films, and we to him. So it was just a candid photograph.
No, it was a big thing because Tom Cruise is big for me. Like for like, we grew up with the original Top Gun, people from my
Oh
generation.
yeah.
So so it's like,
no, that's OG for us as
yeah,
well.
so that's
yeah.
so the thing is, meeting Tom Cruise is not just like, oh, it just happened, we were there at the lunch.
No, I
it's
mean,
just
listen.
like, so the way it's like, we were there and that lunch happened and Sean Oxfield was there and Tom Cruise appeared. That's the way the story goes. I think it's like,
I could rewind it a bit.
yeah, it's way too cool for that. It's like, it's like, oh, Tom Cruise just happened by, and I don't know. But
No,
tell
I
me
mean,
about.
this was a room with legit, like,
Yeah.
heavyweights.
Yeah.
Jerry Bruckheimer, Tom Cruise. I was also very I was fanboying Martin McDonagh because I've performed his plays. So for me, I don't know why I was in that zone. I just kept staring at him, and then I went and congratulated him on his film. But yeah, anyway.
This is the one with Brendan Gleeson and.
Yes.
I forget the name now.
Even I'm forgetting. The first one was based on, I think, The Dumb Waiter in Bruges, which was
No, the
first.
one this one was the one that Colin Farrell.
Yeah,
and,
the same guys. It's almost like a part two.
And the two friends, and they just stopped talking. And
Yeah.
this is amazing film.
Brilliant film.
Brilliant.
You should watch In Bruges.
Yeah.
which
No,
is-
I've seen In Bruges
yeah.
long back, but this just blew my mind. It was like it's a fantastic film. Now you've done a Chinese film, but within like among Indian languages, is Thug Life the first time you stepped outside the Hindi area?
Yes,
Right?
yes. This is technically my first outing. Small outing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a huge ensemble. I'm just very, very happy that I could grace Mr. Manisa's frame, and Ravi K shooting, Kamal. I mean, it's the perfect.
Well, what was it like? I mean, for you, it's
It was very random. I never thought I got. Actually, I have to give credit where it's due. Bijoy Nambia really has championed me.
right.
It's so funny. I've been trying to find ways. We've both been trying to find ways to work with each other separately. In one of his films, but somehow the dates wouldn't match, or something would go off, and I wouldn't be in the country. And then this happened. So I think and Mani sir has I don't know what he saw of mine. I think Kamal sir saw Vishalji's film that I'd done. He mentioned it that day.
Khufia.
Khufia. So one thing to another, and they must have gotten a whiff of me, maybe.
Yeah, and you can't talk about your role and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, it's almost about to come out. It's not like it's one big surprise or anything like that, but it has negative shades, and it's a little bit of action and adrenaline, and yeah.
But was there anything different on the set? Your first non-Hindi set, right? It's like, was there something that you found interesting as an observer? Because every set is different, right? It's like the energy of every set is different, and the vibes of every set are different. And
Oh yeah. I mean, I've not seen like such strong sets. Also because I was shooting my first shot was, I think, one action sequence with Simbu. Just the technical, prowess and everything was bang on, and you don't get that sense from outside because it's a very humble exterior. For me, it was all about just me coming in, and I said, Mani says like the perfect guru you can have, but they really welcomed me. Went out of the way to just welcome me home, and almost like
yeah, so I'm going to ask you one of my favorite questions, because I love to ask actors how directors direct them. Because part of it is what you bring to the set, you prepare, you learn the lines, etc., etc. And part of it is what the director says, this is what I want you to do, this is what I don't want you to do, and so on and so forth. And the way they fine tune what you're doing, right?
Of course.
So, Vishal Bhardwaj in Khufia, Mani Ratnam in Thug Life, Raj Kumar Santoshi, Lahore, 1947, and Anurag Basu, Metro Indino. Can you talk about the styles in which they talk to you about your performance?
Oof, very different.
Yeah, obviously. That's what's interesting, right?
I think Vishalji is one of the first ones in this lot that I worked with. And again, I love him to bits. The fact that he chose me for that. I often say this, I've said this in interviews also. There was this one particular scene, and I think that's enough for people to understand the way he thinks as a director. I'm talking to Vamika in this hospital sequence, and I kind of remember, a thought. And I said, you remember when And he comes to me and he says, you know, Ali, तुम यार ये गाली दे देना, just, you know, abuse before that, something like, you know, or whatever. So I was like, that's not very, you know, Vishal Bharadwaj film. Okay, ठीक है, I'll say it. Just before the take, just right before I was, you know, the clap is in, and he just sticks his head out and says, Ali, say it in your head. Take the same line. That word you keep it in your head. I said, okay. And that's it. So the wiring changed in that moment. The line remained the same as
What
it
was the line?
The line was, यार मुझे कहीं से भी कुछ याद आ गया है ना, एक सिलसिला था, एक किस्सा याद आ गया.
Okay.
अब वो किस्सा क्या है, I'm telling her that.
Yeah.
But you know, like when you sometimes say, yeah, you know, this and fuck, man, this thing happened.
Yeah.
This brainwave happened.
Right, but
Of
without
course,
saying the swearing
without
word
the,
over the word.
swearing word. So he said, use the swearing word first. I thought that was interesting manipulation. I think, yeah, this will probably get to him the 50th time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
'Cause I've spoken about this, but I find that very interesting because we all are wired a certain way.
Yeah.
We walk into a scene a certain way, and then you leave enough room for magic to happen between actors and the space and everything. But then somebody manipulates you like that, which is very interesting because it forces your brain to shift a little and produce something totally different. The effect was different.
Yeah.
I like that. I enjoyed, you know, having gone through that.
Yeah, and that's very smart manipulation.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it's not, then you're not aping, imitating, you know, which happens
Yeah.
a lot.
Right. Ali Fazal will now tell us all the directors who asked him to reenact what they acted out in front of him. Will you?
Oh, I would love to. Oh God, no, but you know, I think they all know, and
Yeah.
it's not bad. I get it. It's a director's medium. Sometimes, I mean, Hitchcock did that. So you know, we all pujo him, but he did that. He was a tyrant. He said, no, your hand will move at this direction in this point. I need the tear to drop. So there are directors like that, and I respect that. But sometimes it's like, hey man, you know,
It's like having handcuffs.
do this.
Yeah.
Because this is all that imagination is left with, and it's mine. So no, but even like Basu sir has a very interesting way. Because the whole film is inside his head, so nobody knows what's happening, and that's another exhilarating experience because you don't know what's coming. And I remember Adi and Sara and all these guys are like on set first day, and they can see me like freaking out. I said, क्या करें, scene नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, you know. But that's how he works, and
There's no scene paper.
no, it comes in very last minute.
Okay.
You know, and of course there's a whole script and everything, and he's got the whole thing down.
And you've read the script.
Well, so this particular construction of Metro is a little different, and I think for that very reason he didn't want us to read the script, and it really helped because actually closer to it, or when the film is out, I would love to talk about it. I'm quite surprised, even in a very light romantic film, he's managed to bring his swing, you know, and I enjoy that. But again, he pushes.
How does he tweak you?
He'll throw in a word, or he'll throw in emotions and just give me a little different perspective, you know. But most times he doesn't speak. When he gets it, he doesn't. And that's another problem that I think the directors don't realize, which is Manish, Basu, or you know, they're lovely directors, but actors love it when the director goes, good. So suddenly we're like, nothing. Like, yeah, what did he say? What did he say? Okay, next shot. So it's
No, I think
almost
next
like,
shot is the equivalent of good.
yes,
Huh.
but you know,
You want
like
the
we were discussing, you know,
you
the
want the-
vanities.
the validation.
We want our little. We're spoiled.
Yeah. You want that was great, Ali.
Yeah, I was like, you know.
You killed it, Ali. Yeah.
But no, and that's great. We have to learn that is good. It's not about us. It's about the larger picture, and I think that's been a great learning with all these directors.
So going back to Metro Indian, like I wanted to be a little more specific, as in, again, I know you can't talk about a lot of, but I'm just talking like, let's say, what does he do to enhance your performance? As in, to get out of you what he has in mind.
He'll give you a rhythm to the scene. and I mean literally a rhythm which sometimes is also, this one's mostly a musical. So
Oh, like a beat.
like a beat.
Oh.
Yeah, sometimes there's a beat. And for me that is nectar, because then I can map everything, right? We don't use beats much, or rhythm much.
I've not heard of this. This is very unique.
So that's the way I learned. I never got to study acting and everything. So hence Adi Shakti. It's been the one place where I've managed to learn something, which is why I keep going back and back and back. And I think I'm probably one of the worst students there, because they keep looking at me like Vinay and Mia, like, okay, there you're back again, and you're back again. And I said no, because these guys are evolving in what they're teaching, and it's a lot to do with rhythm. So that's it, wherever we find that, because with that you can map.
Right.
It's like music.
So would you
It's a
say
speech.
there's also a bit of dance in you, because Adi Shakti is also about...
It has to be.
Okay.
All actors need that. We need that. If you don't have rhythm, we naturally, inherently have rhythm.
Right.
We hit pitches we are not even aware of every day in all dialogue.
So would you say when you're in front of the camera, like I've heard some people say they forget themselves. Does that happen to you?
No.
You're aware
I'm very aware.
You're aware that you are Ali Fazal who's doing this particular role.
I have to be.
Okay.
I have to be, because I'm aware of pretty much everything. It's a very...
You're aware there's a cameraman guy there's
Yes.
this happening there, and
Yes.
yet you have to be in...
Yes, because in that awareness, I think there's a tunnel vision focus that seeps in.
Okay.
If I'm not, then I'm heading blind, with blinders. Anything could happen, The camera decides to improvise, or one actor decides to improvise, or in the middle of the shot, my director says something, and it's not the words cut. I can't leave the shot. I'm not taught like that, so at least I try to not.
Then what
be
about...
ready.
Right, so what about the guys who say, when once action, the yell action, I'm in that zone, I don't know what's happening around me. What about those guys?
I suppose it's a version of this, It happens in the middle of a scene, you don't know. You think you don't know, but you know. Our subconscious mind will know. I'm talking to you so intently, but somewhere it's this camera that's gonna catch me. My face is like a canvas. Every eye movement, there's a reason. I can't just, unless we're improvising a scene.
Right.
Then you're going totally all over, which is the
Right.
hardest,
Yeah.
I think.
What about Mani Ratnam?
Mani sir is very sweet. I mean, very, very straight up, like yes and no. And I think that was great.
As in, you do something, if he likes it, it's yes, otherwise...
Yeah. He'll take like 20 takes if he's not getting the shot.
Okay.
And luckily ours was like just, went in a good flow, and that's it. And then 2-3 times, there were adjustments here and there, but he's very sweet.
So he tells you this is the scene.
Yeah.
Do you know the whole script?
Yeah, you know the story.
Story.
Not the script, not the full
But
script.
your parts you know.
Of course.
Yeah. Meaning the whole scenes come to you.
Yeah.
So you learn them, you come to set.
Yeah.
And then when the first time is your take of it.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I just discussed with him once.
What do you have in mind, kind of thing?
Yeah. I noticed that he was noticing me in the rehearsals, just before the camera rolled in the screen. And he came to me, he said, I want you to do this. I said, where did you see that? You were rehearsing. I said, no, that's, I get it. I'll do it. We'll find a way together. And I'm a total collaborator. I think I absolutely love that. Even if I find a little space that my director has given me and allowed me, for me that's enough to, pull his vision in, or try to.
Right.
And then we play. Yeah.
And what about...
I just also feel sometimes us actors, we give ourselves too much importance. There's so much, and which is why, to answer your previous question, why I can't get lost is because the picture is so much bigger.
Yeah.
That cinema is a director's vision. I have to beautifully fit that picture. Even if I'm the lead in it, it doesn't matter.
Which is why I've heard some of the directors who do many, many, many takes, their logic is, I want to make the actor less aware.
Yeah, that works with some.
So
yeah.
they want to push you to the point of exhaustion.
That also works.
You don't think about the camera, you don't think about that. The only thing that happens is that all that external paraphernalia that goes away, and that's.
Sometimes that really does.
You have you been pushed like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Recently, actually, I'm working with Proshit on he's done some wonderful work, and he pushed me in one scene. He just kept going and going and going, and I said, "Dude, we've gotten it." And I think that in that moment, I realized it was my ego that was coming in the way. That the fact that I was convincing myself that this is the best I did.
Okay.
And then in that gasp, in that sigh or whatever, it just came out.
Okay.
That the last take, after all this little tantrum in my head.
How many takes did you go?
Some 11 takes with a lot of public around, with people in a van and, shaking the van and all that. And there's this one very, very important scene.
And this is a film?
It's actually a show.
It's a show?
Yeah, it's a show. And I'm doing a show after a long time. I mean, after Mirzapur, I've not been scared to, step into that. But it's happening, and, and I'm glad I'm being shot by him.
We'll come to a little bit that you talked about right now, but let's finish with what we started. And because Raj Kumar Santoshi is one of my favorite filmmakers from his but he's also a very different school.
Very different.
So how does he handle actors?
Oh, he's just sweet. He's all heart. He's this cute, just all heart. He's so cute. I love him. And also Santosh Sivan shooting it, so it's a great combo.
Right.
It's a nice combo. He's straight up. He sees it a certain way, but then what I loved is that when he saw me brought my version, I think he understood that okay, we're playing. I'm trying to say something
Right.
on a different frequency, and he allowed me that space, and I think he's incorporated that into the next and the next and the next. In fact, it's probably one of the reasons why we are reshooting one earlier scene that we'd done.
Okay.
Sunny sir and me, and I don't know what, but yeah.
And that's a film I'm really looking forward to because
it's a very sweet story. If you've read the play or know about
because
the play.
thing is, it's also the way he directs.
Yes.
It's this perfect balance between the old school larger than life and a more modern sensibility. There's a nice mix of both, is what I feel.
No, you're bang on, yeah.
So
Totally.
that's lovely. And what did you think of, I'm not trying to get you into trouble, but what did you think of Richa's performance in Hiramandi?
Oh, absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm again a fan. It's so interesting that I was sitting there and during the premiere, and I think they do the 2 episodes. So and that's literally when she's her part's still that, and it just I was totally teary-eyed, and I thought, okay, it's my bias and everything. I look right, and there's Rekha ji, again in tears, and there's everybody else, and I mean, of course, she I think gave her the best compliment that. तुमने हमें हमारे ज़माने की याद दिला दी. I remember she said that. I remember that. She's very good. Her choices, I think. I still enjoy that.
The reason I asked you about that is because now that is not a zone you usually find Richa in.
Yeah.
That's a performative zone that Bhansali specializes in.
Yeah.
His is like Sanjay's Leela Bhansali's world is a little. It's a theatrical world. It's a larger than life world. It has elements of music, dance, all kinds of things coming together. And the last thing it is naturalistic, right? Most of the films I've seen Richa in are in that naturalistic kind of zone. And so it was interesting to see to see her own that zone so beautifully. Like the scene where she's drunk and she walks in and to that thing, and there are so many parts where she's just completely in that thing, and yet she hits that pitch so perfectly, even though it's not what you would think is the Richa Chadha pitch. So I want to ask you, what is the most you found yourself out of your zone while giving a performance? Which is not to say that an actor cannot inhabit different zones, but there are some things that are a little away from what you would think is your zone.
Mirzapur was not me.
It was not you at all. Okay.
A lot of choices there happen that are every time. Like I know this last season, it was one of the hardest, but it was very different.
Right.
Very, 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 very off what I would do, or even the idea. Like there's a jail sequence where we have this fight sequence, and it's very alpha and very whatever, and he just breaks down, and it's like they're all mama's boys basically. At the end of the day, I feel strong people, trying to assert, and hence the violence. But it's that vulnerability that I was chasing, and that was.
You're saying you're not a vulnerable person?
No, I mean everybody is. We
Yeah.
all are. We actors,
Ah.
But to see a man in that character become or find that vulnerability
Right.
was a very unknown space explored in my. I don't know. But yeah, I've been pushed. I think maybe Victoria and Abdul. It was a different kind of a world. I've never known that. But again, I don't think, like, I feel you need directors to push you in that, uncomfortable, unknown zone.
Right.
I think I've only had that in, parts of Mirzapur. I've had that in maybe, with Stephen Frears and Vishalji.
Title sponsors Indica Cream, Ramraj, Mritu Towels, presents Galatta Thug Life Celebrations. Powered by Prithvi Innovias, The Chennai Silks, Darling, Sura Books, Jai Chandran. Associate partner, Inno6.